Well, thanks everybody for coming on. Happy Wednesday afternoon. Happy pre-AEP starting here in a few days. Thanks for coming on today. I appreciate it. I'm just gonna talk and babble on here for a couple minutes. I'm just waiting for more people to get on. So a couple things I already said. Sorry to be so redundant, but we record all our webinars. So we will record this one. If you have questions, I'm not smart enough to do the webinar and answer questions at the same time. So if you ask some questions, I'll answer them at the end for you. For future webinars, we usually do these on Wednesdays and Thursdays. I tend to miss some days when we get, pre-AEP and stuff. But we'll email out invites for these. If you want to do future webinars, maybe you like the topic, but you can't attend, all you have to do is register. You don't even really have to attend the webinar, because if you register, we'll give you the recording. And then lastly, I would say is all our recordings, we put them on YouTube. So that's YouTube, Crow, and Associates. And if you go there, you can see all our webinars. I've done, I think, well over 100 of them that are on there on various topics, all kinds of things. So if you want to hear me drone on, I guess, you can watch those. So I do have 1 o'clock. I think I'm going to get started here. Okay, so thanks for coming on. We're going to get started. Because a bunch of people have come on in the last minute or two. We'll record this webinar, we'll send it out, and if you have questions, just send them into the question box. So today we're going to talk about call recording compliance. So we're going to do a quick review of the rules. I'm not going to dwell on the rules because I think everybody has been seeing what the rules are. Today we're going to focus more on how do you be compliant with them. That's kind of what I noticed is a lot of organizations are talking about here are the rules, but I don't think that's all that helpful to us. We're going to focus today on, well, what do I got to do if I want to, not run afoul of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to go do a quick review of what the rule is. That'll be quick. And I'm just going to sprinkle this in the presentation. Remember, guys, face-to-face meetings do not require recording. So you do not, if you're going to ultimately meet somebody and write them face-to-face, you don't have to record anything. So just remember that. I know a lot of people are kind of thinking, well, I got to record the previous conversations, the end conversations. No, if you write them face-to-face, you don't have to record anything, okay? So we're going to talk about the immediate steps you got to take when you do have to record. So that's when you're enrolling somebody over the phone who you're not meeting face-to-face. We'll talk about the disclosures. Those are important. And really, quite frankly, I think we'll get people get dinged a lot more for not having the disclosures than the recordings, in fact. But anyway, talk about that. We're going to talk about the ways to record. So recording through enrollment tools or using office or phone recordings systems, which I'll mention a couple to you. All right, so quick review of the rule, first of all. So it all goes by TPMO. That's a third-party marketing organization. So CMS has had rules for TPMOs for a long time, and they've had call recording rules for the call centers, your GoHealths of the world, for a long time. They've always had to record enrollment calls for quite a while. What changed is that Medicare in the final rule, they changed the definition of who is a TPMO, so who's a third-party marketing organization, which now includes us. So most of these rules have been around for a while, but they expanded the definition to include agents, brokers, all those kind of things. So now we're suddenly included in these rules that have been out. So that's really the big change, the expansion of the definition. So these rules kick in for October 1st. Obviously, you can't enroll somebody in October, but that's the first time we can start talking to them about 2023 benefits. For those of you who aren't using October 1st to the 15th, I suggest you do so. It's a great time. You can get out there and talk to people. I used to love that time frame because I could get a lot knocked out prior to the 15th when you could take apps. So anyway, this expansion of the definition made rules for us that are applicable to us, and it created requirements to record non-face-to-face enrollments, a requirement to add a disclaimer to absolutely everything, which we'll talk about. And this is only applicable to CMS-regulated products, which is MA and PDP. So this doesn't apply to non-CMS products. Most notably, MedSups. It doesn't apply to a MedSup. Indemnity, other health products. It's just for MA, MAPD, and PDP. Compliance for all this is like normal. It's the carriers. CMS doesn't enforce these rules. They have the carriers do it. So they're the ones that are tasked with enforcing compliance with these rules. And then lastly, we'll get into it more, but you need to be aware of call recording laws in all states. So there's a requirement that we're going to have to record non-face-to-face enrollment calls. But the other thing to be aware of is state rules as far as recordings themselves. Like Connecticut, for example, this is a dual consent state. So you absolutely, if you're recording somebody, you got to tell them they're being recorded, and they have to acknowledge it. If they don't want to be recorded, then you've got to end the call. You can't continue on. Some states are single consent, but pretty much every state now you have to notify people that they are actually being recorded. So that's something you might see people get dinged on too, but that's a different thing. That's not a CMS issue. If you record somebody in a state and don't notify them they're being recorded, that's something where they can come after you with a law firm, and there can be fines for that. So that's important to keep in mind. All right, so we got these new rules in place. What are the immediate steps? Well, first of all, let's talk about the disclaimer. So the disclaimer has to be put on a bunch of things, and that is verbatim. That is the disclaimer right there. So it's not something we really want to have on everything, but we don't have a choice. So the disclaimer is, whether verbal or in writing, we do not offer every plan available in your area. Any information we provide is limited to those plans we do offer in your area. Please contact Medicare.gov or 1-800-MEDICARE to get information on all options. So this disclaimer must be on all marketing communications. So not educational stuff, not random things, but marketing efforts. So basically things that you send out that have company names, specific plan benefits, or specific details is an attempt to market. And this disclaimer must be on there. So that'd be things like email, text, phone calls, because you got to relay this verbally for marketing phone calls. Advertising, that'd be like print, anything electronic, or basically anything. In your website. So I think one of the big areas people will run into problems is they won't put this disclaimer on all their marketing efforts. And I see some questions are coming in, and certainly I'll answer at the end for you. This disclaimer is going to have to go on everything. So it's got to be stated verbally for a recorded enrollment call. It's going to have to go on all your marketing materials. So how are you going to do that? Well, first of all, add the disclaimer to your email signature. That's a big one. So if you're emailing people, specific plan benefits, trying to solicit them by email basically, and, kind of working towards a sale, you want this disclaimer in your email signature. So put it in your signature. I think that's the quickest and easiest way to safeguard yourself on email. I notice some people in our business still, they don't even have their contact information in their signature, which you absolutely should. And then you should put this disclaimer in there as well. And all emails out there allow you to have a signature, so you can put this in there easily. You've got to add the disclaimer to your website. So if you have a website, the disclaimer has to be added. You got to talk to your site administrator to add it if you can't do it on your own. Font size is supposed to be 12 font, and the disclaimer is supposed to be on any web page of your site that has plan-specific benefit information. So benefit-specific, plan names, company names, you need that disclaimer on the site. I know I've talked to some people and they're just adding it to their homepage. That's better than nothing, but technically it's supposed to be on any page that's pitching benefits. And then the question comes up about Pinnacle. Pinnacle makes sites for agents, so we've been doing that all year, making agents websites, and Pinnacle will have this disclaimer on the site, so it'll be compliant. You've got to add the disclaimer to all your marketing materials, and that means everything. Like the biggest one that's the most difficult is newspaper ads. We have a lot of agents that use newspaper ads, and unfortunately this disclaimer takes up a lot of your precious ad space, but it's got to be on there. So if you're set up for newspaper ads and you don't have it set up for the disclaimer, you got to change it. Mailers, basically anything that is marketing. Educational events, no. Educational events are marketing events, but anything else. So mailers going out, newspaper ads, billboards, all that stuff. So disclaimer on your website, disclaimer on your email signature, disclaimer on your marketing materials. So we'll talk about the call recording now. And again, I'm going to say it for the third time, not required for face-to-face sales. It's only if you're closing over the phone do you have to do the call recording. So if you're going to sell over the phone, the disclaimer must be read and the call must be recorded. So that That's the long and short of it. The disclaimer must be read on a phone enrollment within the first minute of the call. And remember also, if you're calling, you've got to tell them the call is being recorded. That's important. Don't forget that piece about the fact that the call is being recorded. And then the disclaimer's got to be read within the first minute. Zoom calls, there's been a lot about that. We've had some carriers that have said Zoom calls do not need to be recorded. I won't mention names, but most have said that Zoom calls do, or Zoom meetings do have to be recorded. Some have said they don't. But at the end of the day, CMS says they have to. So CMS came right out, clarified just about a week ago and said, we don't care what anybody's saying, Zoom enrollments, Zoom meetings must be recorded. Okay, so recording calls in states, I mentioned this already. Many states require the prospect be notified they're being recorded immediately. Some states are dual consent. So in some states, you can just tell them they're being recorded. They don't have to agree or not. In states like Connecticut and New York, it's dual consent. You've got to tell them they're being recorded and they have to acknowledge it. If they refuse to be recorded, you've got to end the call. Politely, but end the call. And again, I'll answer your questions when we get to the end. So let's talk about enrollment call versus all calls affiliated with the enrollment call. So at a minimum, you should record the enrollment call. That means when you're on, say, a Connecture or a Sunfire, or you're enrolling them through one of the carrier apps, you need to enroll that. Connecture and Sunfire will enroll those calls. Sunfire, I think, kind of looks the best in this space. I'm going to mention Sunfire has some pretty cool updates too, but you can get a phone number through Sunfire. You go on and register for it. It says that it's going to cost you $1 per number per month. It will not. Pinnacle's paying for that, so it won't cost you anything. If you use Connecture, I think Sunfire's recording system is better, but Connecture will have a recording system as well. They charge a lot for it, but Pinnacle's going to pay all of it. I was a little nervous about that. I didn't think they would, but they're going to. So that's great. So at a minimum, record the enrollment call. Now the rule does state that you have to record all calls affiliated with that enrollment. So meaning if you have a prep call with them, talking to them a little bit about benefits, one day, and then the next day or that afternoon or something, you do the enrollment call with them. The rules basically say you got to record that whole conversation, even if it's multiple calls. So that's what I have to suggest is record the whole thing. However, I would say, like I said, at a minimum, record the enrollment call. It's my opinion that if there's an allegation or complaint, that's what the carriers are going to ask for is the enrollment call. So to record using Connecture, Sunfire, or Medicare Bot, all three systems record calls and allow for enrollment over the phone at no cost to you. Pinnacle eats all that cost, which is great. All three systems will save the recordings for 10 years because that's the requirement, 10 years. And all three systems will include the disclaimer and the script for call compliance. So it's dummy proof. They automatically do the disclaimer and the call is scripted out so you're saying all the right stuff, and they will record. And you can assign a phone number to yourself with a local area code on Sunfire, which is nice. Okay, you'd access all three of these systems through connectformedicare.com. So connectformedicare.com is Pinnacle's website, a site that they made, but they put the links to access all three systems underneath Connect for Medicare. So you go into connectformedicare.com. If you need a username and password, we can provide you with one. And then when you go in, you'll have the buttons for all three systems. So here's a big thing with Sunfire. Sunfire's announced two really cool things. They're going to have a voice scope, which is awesome. I've been waiting for them to get one. So no more email or text for the scope, no more paper scope. You can do it right over the phone with them, which is really cool. And they're going to have marks. So those who aren't familiar with the mark system, that's going to allow you when you go in to see plan history, you'll be able to see what people have been enrolled in for the last 3 years and what they're enrolled in currently, which is huge because a lot of times people don't know what plan they have. You're going to be able to verify Medicaid status and verify Medicare Savings Program status as well. You can confirm their MBI number, and you can confirm their A and B effective dates. That's called the MARC system. This is a watered-down version of the real one, but it's awesome because you can go in there. Like if you have somebody you're enrolling and you see they switched plans 12 times last year, you can say to them, hey, maybe you should stop answering the phone and just call me if you have questions. Somebody says, I don't know what I have. Well, you can look it up. So it's really nice. I made a blog with a recorded demo for each system, Connecture, Sunfire, and Medicare Bot for that matter. I I will show how to access those blog links on our website before we get done. So if you're not familiar with Connector, Sunfire, or Medicare Bot, they're basically enrollment systems that enrolls through text or email that will record, and now Sunfire will do a voice scope, which is really cool. But anyway, you can quote and compare plans. You can enroll people, check doctors, check meds. It'll save everything. So it's a CRM. So it can work as a basic CRM for you. And what's nice about these systems is they'll show the plans you're contracted and certified to sell, but if you click a button, it'll also show all the plans. So you can get an idea if maybe it's a new state you want to go to. You can go in Sunfire, for example, or Connector, click the button to show all plans, and it'll show you everything available, and you can quote and compare it. You can't enroll people in it if you're not appointed with it, but you can see it, which is really nice. Also, there's an agent-specific PURL for each one. That is a consumer-facing URL that can go on your website, your email. It's a website that is coded to you that a consumer can go on. They can do everything you can do, quote, compare, and enroll themselves if they want. And self-directed like that, if they're using your PURL, that does not need to be recorded because it's a self-enrollment. They're enrolling themselves. And lastly, you can do HRAs through all three systems now. So they all have the HRAs available through them. Okay, some people have said that instead of recording through Connector or Sunfire, maybe they want to use the carrier's enrollment systems, which are not set up to record, most of them. So how do you handle that then? So I'm not going to use Connector or Sunfire or Medicare Bot. I'm going to use, one of the carrier's enrollment portals, but I still need to record, and that carrier doesn't have recording set up. There's a number of companies you can use that will record all of your conversations if you want. The price range is cheap, surprisingly cheap for them. Ranges from $20 a month and a little higher depending on the company. They're not enrollment platforms, but they'll record absolutely everything for you if you want. Examples of those companies are RingCentral, Simply, and Ooma Office. I've looked into all three of them. They're really inexpensive, I should say, and they'll record. So that way you don't even have to worry about recording the enrollment call. You can record everything if you choose. But again, when you use these systems, they have a disclaimer on there. So when somebody calls you or you call them, it's a disclaimer that says the call is being recorded because you got to do that. But that would be an answer for somebody who just wants to record everything and doesn't like using Connector, Sunfire, or Medicare Bot. All right, final thoughts. Let's see what we got for time. Now 1:16. Okay, I'm doing okay. So final thoughts. Get the disclaimer on your website, your email, and your marketing materials. You got to do that. Okay. Record the enrollment call at a minimum. Remember the consumer recording notification. And remember, face-to-face meeting, no recording. Okay, but you always need a scope. And what's really cool is if you want to use Sunfire, you can just do a verbal scope. So that's nice. But face-to-face meeting, no recording needed. Recording is not needed for educational events, and the disclaimer is not needed for educational events. So if you're selling over the phone or Zoom, you try Connector, Sunfire, or Medicare Bot, or get set up with an office recording system that I just mentioned earlier. Remember the marks and voice scope on Sunfire, that's a huge improvement. If you want to watch any of our webinars, like I said, this one, we'll send you this recording, but if you want to see any of our past webinars, and we've done a few different ones on this, just go to YouTube. We'll email you the link too, but it's YouTube Crone Associates. I'm going to show you really quick before I jump off. We put the first looks. I get a lot of people who ask me for the first looks for any given company. We put those on our website. So they're on the CroneAssociates.com site. I'll show you in just a second here. All you do is you go on the website, click on Sales Blog, and then scroll down to the benefits at a glance. I'm going to show you that quick, and then I'm going to see if there's any questions. Here we go. All right, so if you go to CroneAssociates.com, and I'll answer your questions here in just a second. If you go to CroneAssociates.com, okay, and then you just go to Sales Blog. And if you scroll down, see we've got, these are the two new blogs I just did on really specific on call recording with Connector, Sunfire, and Medicare Bot. So we've got that. But if you keep scrolling, call recording requirements, here you go. You start getting to your benefits at a glance for various companies, Molina, Humana, Oscar, Connecticut. I got all of them on there. UHC, there's a bunch. It's one password to get into all of them. I have to password protect these. The carriers require me to do that. It's the same password if you need to know it, just email us or call us and we'll give it to you. And then it's the same for everyone, so it's easy to get in then. But that's where the blogs are. Okay, so let me see if we have any questions. Let's see. Bear with me here 1 second. I'm going to grab our questions. Okay, we got questions. Let's see. What about if they call later to ask about doctors or meds? Yeah, so that gets, so what if they call later to ask about doctors or meds? I was told we had to record. So yes, that comes into the difference of CMS is saying the chain of enrollment, meaning if you enroll somebody and it's not face-to-face, that it has to be recorded, and you got to record the conversations leading up to the enrollment call, and post conversations. If you want to meet the specific definition of the rule, yes, you'd have to record all that. And if you want to do that, you'd do it through Connecture, Sunfire, or Medicare Bot, or you'd use one of those office recording solutions. It's my opinion, Ed Crow's opinion, that they most likely will ask for the enrollment call. But hopefully that answers your question. Let's see what else we got. Will Connecture allow incoming calls from the client or just outbound? They will allow incoming. So on both Connecture and Sunfire, you will register for your phone number, and people can call that number or you can call out from it. Good question. If we use a recording system other than Connecture, do we need to say the disclaimer on every call? Okay, really good question. So on every enrollment you do, the disclaimer needs to be somewhere on that call. So if you're enrolling somebody over the phone, let's say you have 2 different conversations with them, and on the first call with them, you say the disclaimer and you record it. Then you're all set. You don't have to say it on the second. It only has to be said and recorded 1 time. But yeah, if you're going to enroll 10 people in a day, you need to say the disclaimer and record the disclaimer for 10 different times for 10 different conversations. Let's see, Dave's got a question. So if you're on your cell and a client calls to enroll, you have to log into Sunfire and call them back. Well, yeah, I don't think you can't really enroll them on your cell anyway. That really wouldn't be possible. So if you're on your cell and somebody calls you, you can use Sunfire is web-based, so it's mobile, phone friendly. So you could technically go on Sunfire and do it through your phone, but most likely, you're going to say to them, "Well, I'm not in the office, and when I get in the office, we can take care of this." If you're not doing it face to face. Good question. I understand what you're saying, but again, I don't think you'd have a way to enroll them on your cell anyway. What about phone calls to set appointments for face-to-face sales? Nope, don't have to record those. MedSups need no recording even when setting appointments. Correct. MedSups are not a CMS regulated product, so you don't have to record. When do we register for our phone numbers with Connecture? Connecture, I don't know, Jerry, but I do know Sunfire, you can start doing that now. I'm not sure about Connecture. I'll have to try to get you an update on that, but Sunfire you can do now. All right, my laptop quit during the presentation. Hang on, let me click on the question. My laptop quit during the presentation. Will I need a special phone number, and how do I get it? So if your laptop quits, you probably won't be able to enroll them. Yes, Connecture and Sunfire will give you a phone number specific to you. Not sure. If you want to call me or email me with more on that question, I'm not quite following you. If the laptop quits before you enroll them, you'll have to do it again. But if you've recorded the disclosure and started recording already, you don't have to do the disclosure again. But you'd obviously have to call them back through your Connecture or Sunfire phone number and finish the enrollment. Competing MGAs using Medicare Center, how do they compare? Same thing. I mean, what they're doing is they're using, I won't say which one, but they're using one of these enrollment platforms behind the scenes. So yeah, I mean, they'll work. And I'm familiar with that. With Medicare Center, it's good. I think it works well, but it'll be the same kind of concept. If we use Connect for Medicare, will we have one phone number that will be used and people can call it? Yes. So Connect for Medicare, it depends on which. Connect for Medicare holds Connecture, Sunfire, Medicare Bot. Connecture, I believe, is going to be an 800 number they assign you. Sunfire is going to be a local number. And you can add additional numbers for each state with area codes for those states. They charge $1 per number, per state, per month, but Pinnacle's paying that. Subs aren't necessary to record, but if they are taking a PDP, yes. Medicare Advantage and PDPs, you got to record them both. So, yep, good point. You would have to record if you're not doing a face-to-face. Yeah, you would have to record that PDP. Who owns the data? The recording data, I assume you're talking about. Well, remember, Connecture, Sunfire, and Medicare Bot are separate companies. So I don't know technically if they own the recording data. I don't really know. It's a liability to them because of the cost of it. But you can access all of it. And I assume because these are separate systems that you're enrolling in, that you do. I mean, I can find out for you on that. I don't really, it's not, a recording is expensive to keep all those recordings, but I assume Connecture, Sunfire, Medicare Bot does, but I don't know that for sure. Let's see. Regarding that question, no, I mean that my laptop just quit during the presentation, so I missed the process for getting the phone number. I have video. Okay, I understand. I have videos on that. On those blogs I did, there are videos for how to get your phone number with Connecture in Sunfire. Somebody asked, what do you mean that C4M applications will supply scripts? So, meaning, what I mean by that is, when you go on Connecture or Sunfire, it's kind of scripted out for you, like they do the disclaimer automatically. And when you go through the enrollment, it's kind of showing you what you need to say. A lot of questions today. It's good. I mean, it's good to ask them. If I take paper apps for in-person appointments, I assume I need to add contact to Sunfire in case they call again with follow-up calls. No. If you're doing a paper app, you don't record anything. Follow-up calls doesn't matter. You took an app on them, you wrote them, so it was marketing, but it was a paper app, no recording. If we do face-to-face and later they call the office, we have to record? No. Let's see. Oh, another ownership question. Get back to me on that, guys. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not quite following what the concern is with that, with just owning the recording, but we could talk about it, I guess. Did I hear you say that we need to record post-enrollment calls as well? Well, what I was saying is the rules are stated saying all calls in the chain of enrollment. So if it's a marketing call, that would be potentially the call before the marketing call that's leading up to the marketing call, the enrollment call itself, and then post calls. That's how the rule's written. So if people are going to follow, really go by that, then maybe they'll get a recording solution, or they'll just be diligent about recording everything through Connecture, Sunfire, or Medicare Bot. It's my opinion, at the least, I say that you should record the enrollment call. Will they ask for previous and post calls? They could, but my priority would be to make sure you record the enrollment call. But if you want to record all of the conversations, that is how the rules are listed. Then that would be the advice. Let's see. Will I have to record inbound calls from old clients? Depends on what you're talking about. If it's a marketing conversation, then yes, is the answer to that. If you have old clients, if you're going to move them into a different plan, if you're going to change their plan, that's got to be recorded. If they're just calling you with a customer service issue, then no. Let's see. Okay, I think that's all we got. Any other questions? I'll wait around here for a minute in case we have some. Those are good questions, by the way. Doesn't look like we have anything else. Okay, well, certainly if you have other questions, feel free to follow up. Be happy to, actually, I got another one that's come in. Hi, Ed, is Sunfire website off our website going to add it? Not sure I follow that question. Yes, Sunfire is under Connect for Medicare, so you have access to Sunfire, if that answers your question. And it has a PURL. Yeah, there's a PURL, yes, for Sunfire, and you can retrieve that PURL and you can put it on your website compliantly. You can put it on your email, is the answer to that. All right, looks like that's all we got. Nothing else coming in. I appreciate the questions today. Thank you. Those are really good ones. Oh, where are your YouTube videos? Yeah, just Google YouTube Crow and Associates, and the video will come up. So think that's it. Let's see. So somebody's asking, can Exeter and Sunfire feed off the Medicare.gov for the meds? They should both be accurate. People have heard Sunfire is inaccurate. Yes, they do. They both feed off the CMS system for the drug plan. So yeah, they should be accurate. Somebody said thank you. Well, you're very welcome. So I appreciate you guys coming on the call. Thank you. And if you have any other questions, just feel free to email us or give us a call. Be happy to talk to you about it. And I hope everybody has a great day. And we'll send the recording out. Thanks, and talk to you again soon. Have a great Wednesday, guys. Bye.